You might call it a conversation of supreme importance between Associate Justice of the United States Supreme Court, Amy Coney Barrett, and our Norah O'Donnell.
Do you get recognized a lot on campus?
More on campus, I think, just because I know more people.
I mean, Washington's sort of a different beast, though.
Washington is a different beast.
Yeah.
Supreme Court Justice Amy Coney Barrett feels at home on Notre Dame's campus in South Bend, Indiana.
Another kind of history that develops is judicial precedent.
She had been teaching full-time for nearly 2 decades.
This is a momentous day for America, for the United
Until she was
States
selected by
Constitution.
President Donald Trump in 2020 to serve on the Supreme Court.
I wonder, would you acknowledge that since you joined the court, replacing Justice Ruth Bader Ginsburg, the court has shifted to the right?
You know, I think shifting to the right or shifting to the left, I think those are other people's labels, and that's other people's game. I don't think of it that way. You know, I just decide the cases as they come. I've been criticized by both the right and the left.
Justice Barrett's legal philosophy and personal story are the focus of her new book, Listening to the Law.
You wrote in the book that the last several years have not been easy since you joined the Supreme Court. You say, I'm happiest with my old friends who knew me before I became Justice Barrett, and I am wistful when we're back in South Bend.
True.
Do you regret it all joining the Supreme Court?
No, I don't regret it. And I think it's really important work, and I'm proud to serve. And we do have a good life in Washington, and we have friends in Washington. But there is something nice about our old life.
Her new life is centered here at the Supreme Court, where observers describe the 53-year-old mother of 7 as the most influential justice on the court today.
Demonstrators against abortion rights erupted in cheers after the Supreme Court overturned Roe v. Wade.
Now, in her first television interview, Justice Barrett is talking publicly about her vote to overturn Roe v. Wade in the 2022 Dobbs decision.
I want to read something just from the minority dissent on the court for Dobbs about what essentially the effect of overturning Roe versus Wade would be. And that dissent was signed by Justices Breyer, Kagan, and Sotomayor. They wrote, the court may now face questions about the application of abortion regulations to medical care most people view as quite different from abortion. What about the morning after pill, IUDs, in vitro fertilization, and how about the use of dilation and evacuation of medication for miscarriage management? Do you see those as issues that are coming about now as a result of Dobbs?
Let's see, those are issues inherent in medical practice, and sure, they surround pregnancy care and the care of women. And those are issues that are left now to the democratic process, and the states are working those out. We have not had those cases on our docket. But, you know, the central message of Dobbs did not render abortion illegal. Dobbs did not say anything about whether abortion is immoral. Dobbs said that these are questions that are left to the states. All of these kinds of questions, decisions that you mentioned that require medical judgments, are not ones that the Constitution commits to the court, you know, to decide how far into pregnancy the right of abortion might extend. You know, the court was in the business of drawing a lot of those lines before, and what Dobbs says is that those calls are properly left to the democratic process, and the states have been working those out. There's been a lot of legislative activity and a lot of state constitutional activity since the decision in Dobbs was rendered.
For some, the case raised questions about the future of other rights.
And so when Hillary Clinton, for example, says, what's next? She said, my prediction is the court will do to gay marriage what they did to abortion.
Well, I think people who criticize the court or who are outside say a lot of different things. But again, the point that I make in the book is that we have to tune those things out. So,
but you also say in the book that the rights to marry and engage in sexual intimacy and use birth control and raise children are fundamental.
Yes, again, I'm describing what our doctrine is, and that is what we've said.
At issue now, cases on the emergency docket, challenging Mr. Trump's executive orders. The nation's highest court has routinely allowed the president's policies, including on immigration and mass layoffs, to temporarily proceed.
And to observers who say that this president is pushing the boundaries of executive power, maybe overreaching, and the Supreme Court is not providing an adequate check on that.
The Supreme Court, and I can speak for myself in the way that I make these decisions, it's not our job to survey and decide whether, the current occupant of an office in this particular moment is, to form a political view. That's the job of journalists, that's the job of other politicians, or that's the job of the people. But our job is to decide these legal questions. And so in the cases that we've decided, what I can say and what I try to explain in the book is that we're trying to get the law right.
Not that I have the right to do anything I want to do. I'm the President of the United States. If I think our country's in danger, and it is in danger in these cities, I can do it.
Is President Trump right when he says he has unlimited power to deploy the National Guard in any state?
So we don't have any cases pending before us that I'm aware of. I would not be surprised if there are some cases pending below. And so I can't answer that question. But actually, this is a good opportunity for me to say why I can't answer that question, because it's something I cover in the book. Any particular legal issue, I might be sitting there with my kids and watching TV and I might have an idea about it. But if I'm going to decide something as a judge, it really has to happen in the context of a particular case. Because judges have to approach things with an open mind on a specific set of facts. We read briefs, I listen to oral argument, I talk to my law clerks, I write out notes, I look at the cases, I talk to my colleagues. And at any step of that process, I might change my mind from my initial reaction. In fact, I often do. And so not only should I not, but I don't think you would want me to be in a position where I would just shoot from the hip and say, oh yeah, I think that's constitutional, or oh no, I think that's not. Mm-hmm. That's really kind of the opposite of the judicial role. Mm-hmm.
But you are a scholar of the Constitution, so I do also want to ask you, do you believe that the power to impose tariffs is something the Constitution gives to the president, or is that left to Congress?
And I have to give the same answer again, because that one actually is pending in the courts, and we may well, dare I say, likely will see that case. And so same thing goes. That's the kind of thing, it's a wait and see. I'm not trying to hide the ball, and I'm sure that not only you, but probably others would be interested in, what I think about that question. I don't know what I think about that question yet, I can honestly say. Mm-hmm. Stay tuned if that case comes before us, and after I dive in and read all the relevant authorities, then I'll draw a conclusion.
And it's that philosophy that makes Justice Barrett the most closely watched justice in this upcoming term.
I think the Constitution is about promise.
And for years to come.
This is a lifetime appointment.
This is a lifetime appointment.
That's a long time that you could be on this court.
Well, while I do feel older by the day, I haven't gotten so old I'm actually thinking about retirement just yet.